Here we go, friends. Here it is. Deep Dive with Dr. D. This is my intro podcast. Very first time I've done something like this. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about who I am. So if you choose to follow along and listen as I upload podcasts, you'll have an idea of where I come from. I kind of say in a lot of ways, I've lived a pretty full life. I've literally come from the streets. I rebooted my life at 2 points along the way. Once when I was 29 and once when I was 40. 29 was the end result of heavy drug use, methamphetamines, crack cocaine. It was nasty, in and out of jail. At the end of that road, I was a 2-time convicted felon, something that I never really accepted as being something that I am at my core, a criminal. But that's where I was. I was raised by a single mom, raising 4 of us in the late 60s, 70s, and I would have graduated high school in 1985, but I dropped out about 10th grade. I accidentally ended up in the military, literally accidentally. Made it through the military somehow. I remember almost getting medically discharged due to my alcohol use. But I made it through honorably discharged, and I was what you would call a functional alcoholic and drug user for a while until I met crack cocaine when I was about 24. I've been to inpatient treatment twice for substance use disorder. I've been to tons of counseling for mental health disorders. It wasn't until treatment and then finding a path to recovery in the mid-90s that I really started peeling the onion of my life. I've lived a pretty full life in a lot of ways. I'm 57 years old now. I'm now in my 17th year of recovery. I made a return to use after being in recovery for 10 and a half years in 2006 and realized that for me personally, because I'll talk a lot about recovery from substance use disorders and how we need to look at it differently. But for me personally, total abstinence is the way I need to go, and that's the way I've been. I'm married. Been married, we're in our 13th year. This is my 4th marriage. You'll learn a lot of things about me. Some you'll go, oh my gosh, and some you'll go, oh wow, that makes sense why he talks about the things he does. I say this is it. This is my last marriage. I have a 34-year-old son, 2 grandsons. Grandson number 1 is 14 and grandson number 2 is 9. I am a family man at my heart. Being a father is my most important role in life, and now really in a lot of ways being a grandfather. Of course, being a husband's an important role. Professionally, I jokingly say my day job is a college professor. I teach at Central Washington University, and I talk about a lot of different topics that really have nothing to do with what I teach, but I teach IT management. I worked in the industry for a while. I owned a business where I went into people's homes and repaired their computers, and I managed networks. And I also take my professional experience into the classroom because we have a whole side of our degree that's all about soft skills. I'm actually starting my 13th year doing that. I live in a little town, rural community called Ellensburg, Washington. We're right in the middle of the state. I'll always be a Tacoma boy at heart. I primarily lived in the Pierce County area for most of my life. I always say we moved a lot when I was a kid, and that bled into my adulthood. I moved a lot. In fact, it wasn't until Ellensburg that I started really having some stability in staying in one place for any amount of time. But my wife and I, we've lived in the Ellensburg community since 2001. We call it home. It's a great community. I love what I get to do here. I'm actively involved in the community I live in. I very much value my life as a person in recovery. And one of my main goals for this podcast will be to help you, the listener, realize that you have it within you to do amazing things. And I'll talk about that in a variety of different ways. I'll talk about it from a parenting perspective. I'll talk about it from a community member perspective. I'll talk about it as a person in recovery, as a person who struggled with mental health disorders. I'm going to talk about a lot of different topics when I do my podcast. So I ask you to give a listen if you choose. If you like it, pass it along. I want this to be another tool, another avenue for me to do what I really want to do in life, and that is to help people turn their lives around if that's what you want to do, improve your life, but really to just see that you have it within you to do amazing things. So that's my opener. I hope you come and give a listen from time to time, and have a great day and love it to all.